Welcome to InformNation. This is your host, Alex Gabriel.
And your co-host, David Sick.
How's everyone's Monday going today? Actually, we have in Chicagoland, we got a little snow outside here.
Hey, when the weather outside is frightful, the fire is so delightful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We just, we had all these nice days and everything, and then it's like, oh, here's the snow.
Yeah, right after the melt, here comes the snow again. But hey, you know what? Spring's here. We're on the up. Whatever, a little bit of snow ain't gonna hold me back.
Right. And actually, thank God the snow is actually melting quite fast since the roads are a little bit warmer now, letting all the snow dissipate. But we made it into the show today. We had to be here because we got to inform the nation.
Yeah.
And what we want to talk about on today's episode is we wanted to recap on last week's episode, and we were talking about self-realization. We were talking about ways to empower yourself, kind of some coming back to inner reflection, coming back to empowering yourself through meditation, figuring out who you are, what you want to do, what you want to be. And me and David were sitting in the last week, we were thinking, hey, what are we going to talk about for this week's episode? Mm-hmm. And we thought it'd be great to talk about, we talked about empowering people, and now we want to talk about what you should do as being empowered.
Exactly.
Since you are empowered now, we want to talk, what can you do with that empowerment?
Yeah, what's the next step? Now that you realize yourself in the world around you, now what are you going to do about that world around you? Because once you see the world through your own eyes, not the eyes given to you, now you have to make a change about it because you know there's bad things out there.
Definitely, there are bad things out there. I mean, I would say if you looked at society right now, you couldn't say things are going great. I mean, just from everything that's going on with the food, the air, the industries, America, the world, all the fighting, you got to think something's up.
Yep.
And something definitely is up. And there's a lot of topics that are going bad these days. There's a lot of things that people aren't getting involved in the community.
Yep.
We're listening to these news and all the news and everything going around through mass media, and pretty much it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo and
just keeping people back, keeping people from realizing themselves.
Yeah, it's keeping you in the fear state. And what we were talking about is we got a good recommendation by one of David's coworkers.
Yeah, one of my friends out there. His name's William. He's not listening right now, but shout out to him anyway. He gave us a little feedback on the first show, and I really like where he was coming from. His point was that, yeah, we're bringing up a lot of problems that are going on out there, and that's good. We're addressing the problems. But we really want to focus here on InformNation is solutions, because that's big. Because every news thing out there is always talking about problems. Everybody knows there's problems. But what are the news outlets out there and the talk outlets out there that are bringing solutions to the table?
And it's all about finding the solution. I mean, there's a lot of people that can problem spot. Everybody problem spots. I work with people that problem spot all day, and higher ups are like, oh, well, that's wrong, this is wrong. Like, well, instead of telling me what's wrong, why don't you tell me, hey, what can I do to change this?
Yeah, because a problem just stays a problem until you fix it. What's that quote? A mistake doesn't become an error until you refuse to fix it.
Yeah, I think John F. Kennedy actually said it. We were just listening to some John F. Kennedy quotes and little videos and everything before we came on today, because we do want to play a couple of snippets of some great presidential speeches and presidential quotes, because even they know what's going on. And I'd say a lot of the presidents these days and everything, there are a lot of, I'd say, puppets.
A bunch of stooges.
With stooges, puppets for people behind them, because, I mean, if you notice, if we're voting Republican, if we're voting Democrat, nothing ever changes.
Yep.
And we're all going out to the polls and we're all voting, but we only have two people to vote between, either a Democrat or Republican. I mean, we never get the Libertarian side, or I think there's that new side right now called like the Green side,
or like the Green Party, or like the Labor Party, and all these different parties. But no one even focuses on those.
No.
It just when you get from the television, is you either get the Republican or the Democrat, and it's just two sides of the same coin. Because no matter who's in office, if you've noticed and you look back in history and you study it, the agenda continues no matter who's in there. It's just a different mask on the same face.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we notice, I mean, even if they want to say, oh, we're going to make big spending cuts.
Yeah.
Except the difference is one guy was spending $9 billion over, and this guy's like, well, I'm going to only spend $8.9 billion over. Yeah. And that's considered a cut.
Yeah.
It's considered a cut when they spend a little bit less than their projected amount, but still they're always in debt. They're never going, to pay off the debt.
Yeah, my favorite one is read my lips. No new taxes. As soon as they say that, you know exactly they're going to put new taxes in there. Yeah.
Thanks for the little sound over there, Todd. And so, that's really what it's about. The taxes, today in civilization, in America at least, we don't even own our own properties.
I know. Property tax, what is that? You know what it is? It's just you're paying rent. That's what property tax is.
You're paying rent on something you think you own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't really own my house. I pay a mortgage on it.
And you can pay that house off for years and years and years. And as soon as something little thing goes wrong, they'll just come and take your property.
Yep. Oh, you can't afford the taxes this year? Well, guess what? We're just going to come and take your house. We're going to repossess it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens all the time. And not to mention, you just had back in 2008 all these banks putting people in houses. They couldn't even really afford them.
Yep.
And they had to turn into squatters in their own house.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Why are you giving these people houses when, first off, they can't afford them? Second off, even if they could afford them, why are the taxes so high that we can't pay them to even afford to live in them?
And the taxes just keep going up and up and up, forcing people into that situation where they are facing more foreclosures and they are facing bankruptcy. And that's just hurting other people's property values in neighborhoods when there's just vacant houses. And look around your town, there's just vacant houses, vacant businesses, just whole strip malls, just vacant and empty lots. Looks like a third world country.
Oh, yeah. And not to mention, these are some of the things that keep us down.
Mm-hmm.
We always have to worry about paying our house off, paying our car off, paying the taxes, going to the IRS, and all these little things. And once you make one little slip up, especially with the IRS, you're not claiming your taxes, you're not giving the government and Uncle Sam its cut.
Yeah. It's like
they're going to come right after you.
It's like the mafia.
Yeah.
You don't give the boss its cut, he's going to send his little goons after you to rough you up.
Yeah, the IRS agents or the Federal Bureau of Investigation even does IRS things for them as well, too.
I know.
It's ridiculous. And these are some of the things that we want to talk about on today's episode is about since we know what's going on and since we realize ourselves in the world around us, what is going on and what is holding us back from actually becoming our full potential?
Exactly.
And some of those things that we're going to want to bring up is going to be food, what you're eating, the water, what you're drinking, air. If the air is polluted these days, our first resource is air.
Yeah.
We breathe it in every second of every day, and that's what gives us our life.
That's the first thing you get when you're born, straight out the womb, is you take that gasp of air because you need it.
Oh, yeah.
And the air quality is just, depending where you are in this country, in this world, is just horrible. The smog over L.A.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in this country, they're always talking about, we need to get everything green. We need green energy, clean energy. But they're not talking about on the other side of the world, in China and India, where they're just spewing black smog into the atmosphere. No regulation on plants. No regulation on the environment. But here in America, we have to pay higher taxes and higher money because we need to go green.
Not to mention, we were talking the other day about China becoming a huge power now and actually having their own industrial revolution over there right now.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it is, if you think about it, when America went through our industrial revolution, and that happened back in the early 1900s and in the late 1800s, and they kind of brought, I'd say it went to about 1950s, 60s, factories and everything.
And then after the war.
And then, so if you think about all the pollution that we put in the atmosphere just from that time span is leading to a lot of the things that are happening right now. Maybe climate change. We don't really know if that's true or not. But you can see that we're not pumping good stuff in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And now if you're having China come and trying to do the same exact thing but on a bigger scale, and they have no regulations, what does that mean then?
Yeah.
It's just another superpower putting out a bunch of toxins into the atmosphere that's polluting our air.
And that's just one. There's China, India, America, Mexico, all these third world countries where they're using slave labor and cheap resources and just pumping out profits for themselves. But it's not clean. It's not regulated.
They don't care about the environment.
No.
And that's like the corporation idea, is that the corporation's there for the shareholders.
Yeah.
It's not there for the community that they're involved in.
Nope.
It's there for the shareholders.
Yeah.
And their bottom line is make more money for the shareholders.
That's the sad thing that's gone with these corporations, that all they care about is the bottom line. They don't care about you. They don't care about the consumer. They don't care about anything else besides the bottom line and profits. And they'll do anything. they'll jump through any hoop, cut any corner to gain profits.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And it's ridiculous that they do anything for money. I mean, it just shows you what greed will do to a civilization.
Look at here in the chat, Barry Kroger. I like this picture.
Hey, Barry. Hey,
what's going on?
Bringing you back again, Barry.
Yeah, hey, look at this picture. It's Henry Kissinger, that traitor, pig, just all around garbage Henry Kissinger, involved in so much bull. Here's the quote: "Control oil and you control nations. Control food and you control the people." True.
So true. And actually, I think there's another quote out there, Barry. I think it's made by, I'm trying to think about the Rothschilds, or one of the Rothschilds is talking about controlling a nation's money, and you control the nation as well, too.
Yeah, Mayor Amschel Rothschild, the patriarch of the Rothschild dynasty, said something along the lines of, "Give me control of a nation's currency, and I care not who makes the laws."
Yeah.
And that's true. Look at what's happened in this country. We've given over control of our money to the Federal Reserve, a private shareholder-run Rothschild front in America, as a foothold to basically destroy this nation. And look at what's happening. They don't even care what the laws are anymore. They're just printing fiat money. And it's funny money. It's monopoly money. You know what's the funny thing about monopoly money? If you look at a picture of what monopoly money looks like, you know, the colors, the red, pink, blues, greens, whatever, and then you look at the actual money of the United States, it's similar. The ones are like a white, the green. The 5s, pink. The 10s, yellow. The 20s, green.
It's all got that shade.
It's all got that shade, and it's got the same shade as the monopoly money.
It's ridiculous.
That is something.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
They're just throwing it in your face.
It's ridiculous what they do with money. And then you have the Federal Reserve lending the United States government. I get that the Federal Reserve is supposed to be an entity of the United States government, but it's actually the board members are non-elected officials that the president puts in place, correct?
I think so. I'm not too sure. If you know out there how the Federal Reserve runs, throw us a little thing about it. That's not. We're going to make a whole show about that.
Oh, yeah.
That is something deep we can really all get into.
Fiat currency, fractional reserve lending, more money in circulation that's even there.
And it's not even, there's a quick point on that, it's not even paper money, it's computer money.
Yeah.
That is just can be made out of nowhere.
Hey, everyone, let's take a run on the banks today. Let's just go to the banks and just cash out all our money. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could take at least a third of the world's population and just tell them to go to the bank and take out all their money, you'd pretty much find out that your money's not there anymore.
That's the real reason why the banks went under during the Great Depression, is when everyone took a run on the banks, and the banks only hold so much money in there. They don't
10%.
10% of all the money is just held in the banks. And look what's happened. And then everybody ran on the banks and pulled all the money out. Now, where's all the money at? Nobody has any more money.
And nobody knows where it's at either.
I know.
It's because these banks are making a lot of these investments that are risky, and they're actually losing people's money, but yet these people don't know.
I know.
These people think their money's there, but the bank already made a bunch of investments. They brought a lot of people in on mortgage agreements that were high risk, but they sold off as like options to other people to make money on. And now, sooner or later, we're in this day and age where the housing market collapsed.
Yep.
There's a financial bubble in 2008 and 2009.
And there's predicted to be a bigger one.
There's predicted to even be the college debt bubble as well, too. If that hasn't hit already, I mean, they're already talking about making taxpayers. I know in our community over in DuPage County, Illinois, is that they're actually talking about taking the taxes and actually having us pay for a community college.
Well, wait. I thought our property taxes already paid for the community college.
No, David. You got to understand, they need more money, David, because they're spending that money on other things.
Like it came out, like the chairman or president of COD took taxpayer money in order to fund his private gun club.
Yeah.
And that's the man that's spouting so much anti-Second Amendment bull out there, saying gun restrictions, not allowing guns in the school, and putting out so much anti-gun rhetoric, to use his taxpayer money to fund his gun club. We gotta, honestly, everybody out there, when you see this, you gotta call these hypocrites out. Because it needs to happen. You need to call these hypocrites out
And
for
the
what
funny
they
thing
are.
is they got the no gun sticker
Yeah.
on the window. You know it's a dangerous place if there's no guns allowed there.
Yeah.
Because some guy's just going to be like walking in with a gun. He's like, oh, look, this is a great place to shoot up. There's nobody with guns here because there's a no gun sticker.
Yeah. And then when someone does, what do they call for? More gun control.
Yeah.
Like, what? I thought the gun control was supposed to stop all this. It's not. It's accelerating it.
Exactly. I mean, down in Texas, they have like the lowest gun crime rate because everybody's carrying one. Because if you're walking down the street like, oh, I want to mug that little old lady over there, you might not do it if you think the guy standing next to her might have a Desert Eagle or some 9mm chilling on his side.
The proliferation of firearms actually lowers crime. Because if you know you're going to walk into somewhere where you don't know who has a gun and who doesn't, who's going to pull a gun out? You never know if you're going to get a gun pulled on you.
Oh, yeah. So it's like I'm going to pull out a gun, and then that guy's going to pull out one, that guy, and I'm done. I'm done for.
Yep.
It's like I'm going to get shot before I even get my first shot off, and then that guy's a hero over there.
Yeah.
But we want to have no guns.
Yeah.
I don't know about this whole no guns right. You know, I'll give over my guns is if the government gives over their guns.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do. Because if you want to talk about no guns, then they don't need them either. The government doesn't need them. Why? If you want to take them from me, then you guys shouldn't have them either.
What's the famous quote by Mao Zedong, the communist leader of China? Great famous quote. Political power, or all power, grows out of the barrel of a gun. And that's
Exactly.
true, because the person with the upper hand on anything will always have the power.
Yep. And that's why I think they're trying to take assault rifles from us. They even call semi-automatic assault rifles. They even use the word assault.
Yeah.
It's like a bad word for us.
See, that's how they're just playing into the key words, and they're just triggering your emotions. And just like, oh, remember that school shooting? Remember that? They just never let you forget about that.
No,
even though
they don't.
Even though it's come out that Sandy Hook thing just has way too many holes in it.
There's a lot of weird
Like
things
there's
that
just
go on with that.
people hiding in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, there was that guy, there's that video. I mean, you could even check this on the internet. You
Yes.
just have to look for it. But there's the cops that say, oh, they're running to the back of the school, and they're running in the forest because supposedly there was a second guy that they saw, and he ran into the forest. But what ended up happening with the second guy?
Yeah.
There was only one guy, right?
And there's like that thing that came out with Anderson Cooper on like 360 CNN or something
What
like
was
that. He, you can tell they're using green screen in the background. Watch the video, look it up. Anderson Cooper, green screen, Sandy Hook. Just type it in, you'll probably find it. And you see Anderson Cooper turn his head to the side to talk to a lady, and out of nowhere, his nose will disappear. It'll disappear. You know what that is? That's green screen. That's not a real background.
That's ridiculous. Actually, right now, I do have the video up right here. It's only a 30-second video, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to post it to the InformNation Facebook page.
Yes.
And so everyone could check it out right now. It's going to be at, the website is facebook.com/InformNation Live. So that's InformNation Live. And then just .com or, no, facebook.com/InformNation Live. And I'm sending it there right as we speak. But I mean, all these hoax. It's like the false flags. I mean, you know, Germany had the false flag of...
The Reichstag building.
I mean, that sent them into WW2.
Yeah.
And then we have the Gulf of Tonka that sent us into the Vietnam War. And then, what else do we have?
9/11?
9/11 that sent us over in Afghanistan, or WMDs.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to those
Remember
weapons
that?
of mass destruction? Did we ever find them? Oh, they say, oh, we found a couple chemical plants or something like that. They didn't find nothing.
And who were the people going in there? The UN?
Yeah.
That crooked group of UN people?
That's looking for world power and world
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
You might as well call it just the NWO building, New World Order building.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at the back of your dollar bill, if you don't believe in the New World Order, look at the back of your dollar bill.
Oh, I got a dollar bill right here. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't. It's my wallet on the other side, but
But
I'll grab it.
it says, what does it say? It says Novus
Novus
Seclorum.
Novus Annuit Septis Novus Ordo Seclorum. And what that means is Annuit Septis is Latin for announcing the birth of, and Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new secular order. They're throwing it in your face.
So they're putting it on the back of the bill.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, we know you guys are not going to look at it enough and not do enough research to look at your currency, but we're putting little hidden things in your currency.
And the only people who understand it are the adepts, the initiates of this great group, these secret societies.
Full of esoteric knowledge.
The esoteric knowledge that these hidden groups understand and that the common masses will not understand.
It's ridiculous what we'll look past just right in front of our eyes.
And that's a whole nother show right there.
I mean, we could talk about that for hours.
Oh yeah.
Talk about the owl. The owl's on there.
You guys ever seen the owl on the $1 bill? If you got a $1 bill, look at the front. Have it face you, George Washington looking at you. Look in the upper right-hand corner. There's the 1, right? And after this break, we're actually going to explain what's going on in society, why this is on the dollar bill.
We'll even throw a picture up on the InformNation about the bill.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about how we can all change it, talking about solutions. We'll be back.
This is InformNation, 24 minutes past the hour worldwide. And here we are with myself, Alex Gabriel, and my co-host, David Sick.
Hello.
And we were talking to you a little bit about where society's going. We're talking about
how society's holding back the individual.
How society is holding back the individual. And actually, if you want to check out, we threw on InformNation's Facebook a little bit of a picture of the owl on the dollar bill if you want to check it out, because they actually worship the owl.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look into Bohemian Grove, which is this kind of a resort out in California.
Yeah, it's
up in the woods, the northern woods, I believe it is.
Yeah, Northern California.
Northern California woods. They go to this place. A lot of the rich elite go here, and actually they do these rituals and everything in front of this big owl.
Yeah, it's a weird,
I don't know what it's about.
Satanic, whatever they're
I don't
involved
know what
in.
it is.
Their Luciferian philosophy, religion.
We don't know what it is, but there's some weird things going on in the country these days. In the United States, in Europe, in Asia, everywhere, there's weird things going on. Especially us in the Middle East right now. I mean, people almost, I would say, predicted this, almost, with the occurrence in the Middle East, America, World War I, World War II. Supposedly, Albert Pike, a Freemasonry guy a long time ago, the leader of the southern jurisdiction of Freemasonry,
33rd degree Freemason,
actually said that there's going to be a World War III.
Yeah, look up Albert Pike's letters to Giuseppe Mazzini in Italy, and he talks about how they're setting up the world through different world wars, and he explains exactly how they're doing it. And if you look at history, it's real. That's exactly how they did it. 2 wars to consolidate Europe and America, and the Third World War in the Middle East to cause a whole conflict of civilizations in order to bring in, to combine
the New World Order.
Combine East and West.
And that's what they need to do. They need to combine East and West for a New World Order. And don't get me wrong, I get that sooner or later planet Earth needs to join together, because if we're going to go out in space and everything, we're going to be considered people of Earth, not people of United States, Russia, China, Europe. Anything like that, we need to be, we do need to be part of the world, and I get that. And sooner or later, it does need to happen on a peaceful level, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, through these world wars and everything that they're trying to do, because what they're going to do, if there's a third world war, they're going to say, oh, everything went in chaos, and who's there to protect you? The governments.
Yep.
And the governments are going to take over, they're going to rule.
Problem, reaction, solution.
And I believe this conspiracy is so big that Woodrow Wilson, did you bring that up?
I do. Hey, quote by Woodrow Wilson. This is powerful. This is probably, I don't know when this quote was made, but Woodrow Wilson was president from 1914 to 1917, around that First World War era. And here's his quote. Quote, "Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere, so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." End quote.
That's big.
Wow, what's he really saying
there? I
there?
don't know. I mean, we do have a clip here of John F. Kennedy talking about the same sort of thing. Actually, do we have 5 minutes left on this one? Okay, we're going to play you a little bit of a clip of John F. Kennedy talking out against a big conspiracy. And here we go. Let's play the clip.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Amen to that.
And there we go.
Wow.
I mean, even you have JFK talking about almost what we're talking about right now, getting back to real journalism.
Yes.
I mean, we're here, we're trying to inform the public. We're trying to bring you ideas that have been strayed away from.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to bring you back real news. You know, I know there's a lot of controversy in what we talk about here on InformNation, but that's the point of it. Because the point of it is to get the idea across. I don't care if you agree with the idea, and I don't care if you don't agree with the idea. The fact of the matter is that the idea is there.
We're here to send the transmission out. Just flood the airways with information. It's just we think of ourselves as little Johnny Appleseeds.
Yeah.
Didn't we have this conversation?
Yes, we did.
Think about ourselves as Johnny Appleseeds. Just planting seeds everywhere. Yeah, just throwing out seeds, throwing out info. Just maybe we know that not all the seeds are going to grow, but some of those seeds stick, and some of them begin to grow. And those seeds branch out into trees that create their own seeds. And soon you get to that exponential level, exponential growth where you're just hitting a platform, you're hitting a plane, and out of nowhere it's just like boom, skyrocketing. And that's what we're here to do.
And that's what it's about, just spreading ideas, controversial or not.
Yeah, my favorite part about that speech is the end. Making man how he was supposed to be, free and independent. And that's what self-realization is about. That's about what individual empowerment is about freeing your mind and freeing your body from this world and
being independent.
Yeah, and getting back to what's really matters here.
And the funny thing is I see this happen a lot today, is a lot of people do think they're independent. But the fact of the matter is some of their independence is, I would say, manufactured independence.
Mm-hmm.
Is, you know, like a lot of the cliques or whatever they are, like, oh, I dress this way, or I dress this way, or I have like big gauges in my ear, or this and this and this. But isn't that just what that group of people is doing? Is that really you, or is that like you following something else? You know what I mean?
It's like a peer pressure almost type of deal, where you want to conform to
at least
peers.
Something. Even though if you think it's independent, you think, oh, well, I'm independent by doing this. You're just really joining another peer group.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, is that really independence? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, you are independent to choose who you hang out with and everything. We're not being forced in on any of these groups, but it's almost like, you know, we're being led to these groups manipulatively and actually saying we're independent, but we're really not.
And that's just a human thing. We're very social creatures as humans. So we attract ourselves to peer groups, and peers are huge for the psyche of a human being, is having that peer, what's the word I'm looking for? Recognition.
Yeah.
And it's how we bounce, we even justify our own sanity by bouncing off things, off our friends, to have them agree or disagree with us, to even justify our own sanity. So, peers are huge.
You know, sometimes I think some of my best thoughts come to me while I'm by myself. It's like sometimes you're just sitting there and you're thinking, and you're like, man, these are really good ideas.
I think the best thoughts come to me, you know, when you're in the shower.
Sometimes, yeah.
You have like that alone time where it's just you and you're just thinking, and you just have great thoughts, and it's insane.
Yeah, and then, you know, sometimes you'll get around other people then, and you'll try to bring up these thoughts, and they're like, dude, you're nuts, man.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, because I was hanging out with a few friends yesterday, friends I haven't seen for in a long time, you know, friends from high school. And I started talking about what I'm doing on this radio show, about what InformNation's really about. And after I told them that, you know, our first show was about, you know, self-realization, individual empowerment, and then I told them, hey, you know, the next show is going to be about, you know, now that you're self-empowered, what are you doing in the world? Where are you going with it? And they just looked at me like with eyes that they were just like so stunned. And my one friend told me, he's like, what happened to the old David? I'm like, what do you mean what happened to the old David? I've always been here. It's like, I'm just because I think a different way, or I think I've grown up and matured and not just stayed in an immature state.
Stagnant.
Yeah, then how am I so different?
See, I think a lot of people like friends or family members or anything to be stagnant because it's more comfortable that way.
Yes.
It's more comfortable for someone to say, oh, well, this person's like this, and this is what they do, and yada, yada, yada.
Yes, therefore I am like this. But when they see that their friends are succeeding or going above and beyond themselves, they feel, you know, kind of drawn back and kind of intimidated about that. Like, why aren't I doing that? And that's what it needs in a friendship, in a friend group, is that you need to be pushing each other. pushing each other towards the best versions of ourselves, because that's really powerful among friends.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about pushing each other. And if you're around people that aren't pushing you, you might be around the wrong crowd then.
Yeah, just like me and you. You know, we push each other
Yeah.
in a great way. That, like, you know, Alex will come up with a great idea, and I'll say, like, yeah, I like that, but let's change it a little bit. It's like, it's good like that. Or I'll
Give and take.
Yeah, I'll come up with something. He'll be like, hey, I like that, but, you know, let's do something else with that. It's that give and take that's constantly
it's that
moving
collaboration
Yeah,
together.
that's moving us forward.
It's always, it's always collabing. It's always coming out with better ideas because, if me and David both appreciate each other's thoughts, then together we can create an even better thought.
Yes.
Because, yes, I get it on an independent level. You have your own independent thoughts, but once you could bring those with someone else and actually view it in like another way or take it to another realm, then it becomes even more powerful that way, I think. Because now you're taking two minds on it and you're creating like another higher consciousness.
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's just like two minds together. Yeah, we each have our own separate mind, what we're thinking inside of our heads. And then we have the words that we actually say to each other. So, but in those,
it's creating its own mind.
it's creating its own mind of ideas, like a giant heap of pile of ideas that were then can be branched out from those little ideas that we bounced off each other and created into something else.
It talks about that actually in a great book by Napoleon Hill called Law of Success, and it's called The Mastermind.
Wow.
And the mastermind is when you have a group of people, and by myself, you have your own thoughts going back between you and yourself, and you got that little voice in your head that like pretty much talks to you. It's like you talking to yourself. And then now when me and David get together, I have the words I'm speaking to David, and David has the words that he's speaking to me. But together, like if you drew like a little bubble above the middle of me and David, that would be like the me and David brain. And the me and David brain consists of David's brain and my brain, and both working in unison in this higher brain. And if you had like a third person, their brain would be put to it. Now there's three working up there, and it's a lot more powerful than just the one.
That's why these giant corporations and things like that have these massive think tanks, where it's just a bunch of people coming up with new ideas and creative solutions for things. So you're not just getting one solid, perspective on things. You're getting multiple different experiences all coming together to make a better thing. And that's almost what InformNation is. It's a giant forum and collection of people's ideas, your ideas out there. Bring them to the table and get them out there so we can all start talking about things.
Yeah, we got the chat open. We're always taking things from the chat. Anything you put in the chat, we'll put on air.
Yes.
If you want to talk about, this, that, and the other, put it out there. We'll talk about it. You have any ideas? We'll throw you the number right now. It's our direct line to the studio here. It's 630-445-1213. That's 630-445-1213.
Call in, let us know what you're thinking, because we want your ideas.
Tell us what you think about anything we're talking about right now. If you know anything on the Federal Reserve and the food, the water, presidencies, what you think about the politics going on, that's what we're here for. We're here for everyone. We're here for ourselves. We're here for you. We're here for our family, because this stuff needs to be spread.
Yes.
Because one day I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to worry about what sort of life they're going to be brought up in. And I think everyone needs to worry about what the future generations are going to become. Because there's a difference between, I'm trying to think of the words right now, it's a stoic. If you're very stoic, which kind of means you put up with things kind of for the betterment of society, which means like back in the 40s and the 50s, a lot of our parents or grandparents went to work every day. They worked really hard. They didn't question too many things. They took a lot of abuse, but it was for one day where their kids can grow up in a world where they were more free and they can have more free ideas. And that's more that a stoic side of things, where you actually will put effort forth. Maybe it'll be hard for you right now, but you'll put effort forth to actually turn something into a bigger and grander idea one day.
It's like for the greater good.
It is for the greater good. And that's what we're here for again. We're here for the greater good. And what we want to talk about, and what we're going to talk about in the next segment here of the show too, is we're going to talk about food, what you're eating.
Yep.
What are you eating? Are you eating the GMOs? Are you eating the pesticides, the herbicides, the antibiotics?
Maybe you're a person out there, it's trying to stick it to the man, but are you eating the man's food?
That's the question.
Are you drinking the man's water?
Yeah.
Are you buying the man's products?
Because I think most of us that are like, oh, we don't like the man, the 1% of the world screwing us. but we're eating their food, we're drinking their water, and we're going to their jobs.
We're not voting with our dollars.
We're not voting with our dollars, and that's what we want to bring on InformNation.
Huge.
Voting with your dollars, because we've realized that votes don't count in the polls anymore. Because why? Because your president's the same as he's always been.
Yep.
A guy that raises taxes and increases the national debt. So what we want here is we want people that are going to go out there and vote with their dollars now.
Yep.
Because instead of going to Walmart, why don't you go to that little mom and pop store? Maybe it costs an extra $5, but you're helping growing that community.
And you know you're getting high quality at that mom and pop store rather than just quantity at the Walmart.
So we'll be back after this, but we're going to talk about what we can start doing on an individual level that will help empower us as individuals and help actually create a better nation for us all.
Solutions.
Voting with your dollars, right after this. InformNation here, 47 minutes past the hour, worldwide broadcast.
Hello.
Hello, here we are. This is your host, Alex Gabriel.
And your co-host, David Sick.
We're actually bringing this broadcast from Europe today, over in the Greater Isles of Britain.
We got our fancy tea here.
We got fancy tea and crumpets here.
Pinkies out because
put
we're
your
extra
pinkies out.
fancy.
I feel so fancy today, talking about world politics, talking about conspiracy. I think these are brighter ideas for a brighter day.
I think if we talk like this, people will understand us more.
Do you think if we talk in this sort of monotone talk that people listen to us just a little bit more?
NPR style radio.
Here we are again, InformNation, 48 minutes past the hour. This is your host, Alex Gabriel.
And your co-host, David Sick.
What we were talking about a little bit was we had John F. Kennedy come on and talk a little bit about conspiracy theories here.
Conspiracy theories.
And how society is holding you back. I can't talk like this, man.
Yeah.
It's so monotone. It's like, dude, I need some enthusiasm behind this voice
I feel
right
like
here.
a dead person.
Yeah, a little dead person here talking on the radio. We're zombies. Zombie apocalypse coming at you from InformNation.
Wow, live.
But what we're talking about your food, your water, and everything, what you're eating, and if that's actually making you become a better person.
Yeah, and voting with your dollars.
Voting with your dollars.
Solutions to change the decline of individuals.
Because, as you can see, we talked a little bit about it in the last episode, is that people started voting with their dollars, and people were not going to McDonald's as much. So McDonald's made that huge campaign that was actually trying to say, oh, you could buy your meal with love today.
Yeah, everybody remember that from the Super Bowl? They came out and they said, your meal's free today. All you have to do is call your mom and tell her that you love her.
Hey, Mom, I love you. Thank you for the McDouble.
You know what I want to know? How many people actually out there, for real, got their meal free for doing something
Actually,
like that?
if you did, can you please call in or throw in the chat or something if you actually had a free meal from McDonald's from showing love?
We need verification of this because I can't believe that they did that.
And then, not to mention, with their no with voting with their dollars, is actually McDonald's is actually, I heard from somebody that works in a McDonald's, not just a regular coworker, I think someone that works in corporate, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to shrink their menu down, and they're going to actually start bringing back higher quality food. Because as I'm guessing McDonald's sees Chipotle and a lot of these other organic, natural food stands is actually, they're making more money. And McDonald's like, well, why aren't we making more money? We're the biggest name on the block. We have a McDonald's at every street corner.
Because your food is garbage.
Because we saw the pink slime video. We don't like our nuggets and our McChickens made out of that.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
2% meat in the
think-
patties?
yeah, I think,
maximum like 2 to...
I think it was like 12% was the highest. There was a study done on fast food hamburgers. And actually, the fast food hamburgers, they took like Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, and a couple other mass chains. And they actually took how much actual of that patty is real beef. And it ranged from 2%, which is like, what the hell are they putting in there then? Up to 12%. It's still like, what the hell is the other 90% made out of?
Ew.
It's just gross. And we're eating these pesticides, these herbicides, antibiotics, and we're just killing our bodies through this. We're killing our minds. Because what makes your brain? The food. The food that you're eating.
You are what you eat, right?
Nourishes your brain, yeah. You are what you... Actually, interesting topic.
What?
Is actually something that I read, it was a little while ago, but I do remember this right now, saying that you are what you eat. There's supposedly this thing out there, it was from Paul Chek, and he was talking about like if you eat a certain animal for so many days, say you just eat shark, right? You eat shark for like a week straight. You'll start to notice that your personality will start to be more shark-like. I'm not saying like, oh, you're going to be awesome at swimming in the water or anything, but you might become a little bit more agitated. You might be a little bit more fierce, a little bit more aggressive and everything, but it's because that animal has those properties in its DNA, in its structure, and its biology, that when you start eating things like that, those things might start kind of influencing your life a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you eat greens and everything, if you eat a lot of big greens, like big salads, eating a lot of well-nourished vegetables and fruits, actually it will trigger your mind to be more open. You'll get less brain fog. Actually, you'll become in contact with your higher self.
Wow, I did not know that.
That's interesting, right? So that's why a lot of vegans and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's the best way to go, because I do think people still need some meat, but actually, you're a little bit more spiritually awakened because your brain is less fogged by all the meat in it. So actually, I think people should what they should do is what I tell a lot of people to do, and here's the solution to it, because we like to give solutions out. Is that when you're eating through your food and everything, if you're having a workout day, your body needs a repair. And your body needs a repair through amino acids and whatnot. Amino acids are what proteins are made out of. And so you need those amino acids in your body.
Those building blocks.
Those building blocks to rebuild everything. So if you're working on everything, you're leading a life that's very strenuous on your body and everything. Well, bring in proteins, bring in your animal meats and your animal fats. But if you're not, I would suggest being more heavy on the vegetable fruit side of things, because your body doesn't need all those amino acids to repair its muscles. So your body needs the vegetables and everything to kind of feed your brain a little bit more, clear up your thoughts and everything as well too. So I would suggest, if you're working out, eat your meats and still your veggies and everything. And if you're not working out as much, try to stick more to the veggie and fruit side of things. I'm not saying you can't throw meat in, but just try it out. Tell me how it makes you feel.
And you know what? Get those fruits and veggies. Don't go to the local big supermarket down the street. Go to those farmers markets.
Yeah.
That's where the quality is. And you get a quality for almost a bang for your buck.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then what you could also do is go to you look up co-ops. There's co-ops near you, and I actually know 2 of them that are around us. So if anyone's listening from DuPage County, there's a co-op over on President Street, I believe it is. It's called Moo Grass Farms, actually. The reason I know about it is because I used to work for Teresa Nesbitt, which she's an MD, and she gets all her food from the co-ops and everything, because it's very high-quality food. And she sent me over there, and it's this little mom and pops. It's actually ran out of their garage, and they have a farm out west, and actually they're bringing in all this grass-fed beef, unpasteurized milk and everything, and it tastes delicious. And you have to pay, I think, a little nominal fee of $100 a year to be a part of it, so they could keep on running their organization and delivering you the better foods. But if you go to a co-op, that's really good. So Moo Grass Farms, and then there's another one that I can't think of the name, but it's out in St. Charles or South Elgin. Big farm. You get natural honey there. You get your flowers, your fruits, your vegetables, and it's all non-GMO. And it's all organic, made out of good soil as well, too, because you got to watch out where you're getting your food from if it's good soil.
Yeah.
And actually, I was just, did I interrupt you right there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
And actually was watching something the other day on Whole Foods, and I'm a big advocate of Whole Foods for getting food and everything there, and I get a lot of my hair products there, and I get a lot from GNC where I work at as well. But Whole Foods was selling, they had this California Melody, and it's a mixture of broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, and a couple other things.
It was like a frozen.
It's a frozen bag. It was one of those frozen bags of veggies that you can get. And the news article was they flipped over the bag, and actually on the back of the bag said "Product of China."
What?
In little small lettering on the back of the bag. And pretty much it was certified by some private organization that was worked in China, that they said it was organic. And so since that organization said it was cool, that it's organic, then they sent it back to the United States, and Whole Foods was allowed to put the stamp on there. Not to mention, Whole Foods was against that whole prop against GMO labeling in California.
Whole Foods?
Whole Foods was against it. They were against the labeling of GMO foods.
What's going on, Whole Foods?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
A lot of those big companies.
I thought you were for non-GMO. I thought you were for the whole healthy route. What's going on? Why are you doing it? You know why? It's because they're still a corporation, and they're still about the bottom line. And that's what's going on.
It's all about the bottom line with these big companies. And actually, it's so interesting what companies were against this GMO labeling in California. It was a lot of the big companies. Let's see here.
Do you guys know? Do you guys know what it is? Join us in chat. Call in.
Actually, I have them. I have some of them right here. So if any of these companies that you buy with are pretty much one of your main buyers, I'd say stop buying from them. I mean, we have everyone here from Campbell's, Sara Lee, Mars, Wrigley, Heinz, Kellogg's, Godiva, GMA, Hershey's, Welch's, Coca-Cola, Dole, Post. I mean, we have all these companies that are, Monsanto. Here we go. The biggest one, Monsanto, a chemical company that makes our seeds.
Wasn't Monsanto involved in the Agent Orange over in the Vietnam War?
Oh, yeah.
They were spraying all the Agent Orange,
They were
killing off all the plants and everything like that. And then what did the Agent Orange do? Just cause massive increases in cancer in that side of the world.
Oh, yeah. And then people are all wondering, like, hey, where's this cancer coming from? And a lot of the thing me and David talk about.
Oh, here we go. Here's the big rant right here.
What me and David talk about is, we're all trying to figure out these cures for cancer, but we're not figuring out what's causing the cancer. And I know some of you are on to what's causing it, but, we're not. Okay, this is the analogy that me and David were talking about. This is the analogy that I put out there. If you were an overweight person and say you weighed 100 pounds overweight, what would be the best diet for you? I'd say, get off all the processed foods, start working out, and start, minimizing those bad products, the pop, the chocolates, the sweets, the grains and everything that you're eating that are making you fat. So if you were a bigger person trying to lose weight, you minus things out of your diet that made you unhealthy. But for cancer, it's a different thing. For cancer, we're just like, well, I'm trying to find a medicine or treatment or some radiation that'll kill off the cancer.
We're just covering up the problem.
Yeah.
We're not, it's just like if you got an open cut and you don't figure out, hey, why did I get this open cut? You're just like, there's an open cut, just throw a Band-Aid on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so what you need to do is you need to go back and take these things out of your diet that are making you have cancer.
Yep.
Change your shampoo, change the water you're drinking, change the air that you're breathing in.
The food you're eating.
Change the food you're eating, change the chemicals you're putting on your skin, and change all that, then maybe we won't have these cancer problems, at least not as big as they are now.
A big thing out there. Everybody needs to go and Google the research done on GMO corn and tap water on rats. Huge study that was done, and what was found out was by the third generation of feeding rats, lab rats, where they do a lot of testing on, they do say that testing on rats is almost like testing on humans because it's the same type of like biology between rats and humans, how it is. They've already studied that. It works. But what they did was by the third generation, the rats were getting huge cancers, tumors, just biological nightmares. And one of the huge things was breast cancer in the female rats by the third generation. Now look at humans today. Look at society. We're already multiple generations in GMO foods and the tap water being just toxic waste. Look what's going on. Just huge increases in cancer. Almost exponential rates. And no one's asking, hey, we just need to cure cancer. Let's donate a ton of money to this group instead of figuring out, hey, what's causing cancer and what are we doing about it? We're not changing.
And the scary thing is that I've grown up with this my entire life.
Haven't we all?
But after this, we'll talk a little bit more about what are these sad truths that are going on in reality around us.
And the solutions to fix them.
There we go. We'll be right back after this. Well, here we are, InformNation. It is 5 minutes past the hour, so that means you have us here for another 55 minutes with your host, Alex Gabriel, and my wonderful, wonderful co-host,
David Sick. Hello.
Here we are again. I think we should start off every time with a little British accent. What do you say, David?
Or we can talk like an Aussie.
We talk like Aussie, down under, eh, little Bobby?
A little koala bear.
But we're talking a little bit about cancer when we left here. And I know cancer is affecting a lot of our lives. Even if it's not affecting you personally, it's affecting our families.
Everybody knows somebody who's sick or who has cancer.
And that's sad that we're not trying to figure out what is causing this.
I know.
And it's like, oh, well, let's just keep on moving through, keep on pumping people full of radiation, which, in fact, the radiation and a lot of treatments kill your white blood cells in your body. Which what that means is that it's actually taking away the factors that actually heal you. They heal your immune system.
You ever seen somebody who's on chemo? They look sicker than a person who just has regular cancer. They just look like they're dying. It's sad.
And the weird thing is that actually I think that if we used a good diet and we actually went back to the fundamentals of eating, which means eating real food, is that I think it would take away a lot of these cancer-causing agents.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's because it's all the added pesticides, the hormones, all the added garbage that's in the food and the water and all these chemicals that's really causing the cancer, because it's supposed to be living food in a living body, right? Because your cells are living and they need that living material in order to grow and become better. But you're putting these fake, it's not even food, chemicals in there.
Food forgeries.
Yeah, food forgeries into your body, and your body doesn't know what to do with it, and it's screwing up the DNA because it's not adding, I don't even know what I'm getting.
It's like living food. I like where you're going with the whole living food thing, and actually Teresa Nesbitt, one of my mentors, talked a little bit about the living food idea, and Paul Chek talks about it too. He goes, we need living food. The reason being is that we're living, and we're eating all this dead food, which inherently means that we're putting dead material into our body, expecting us to live.
On dead material.
On dead material, but no, that's just going to kill us faster. Our body doesn't like dead food, it likes living food.
You know what lives on dead food? Fungus.
Yeah.
And everybody's getting this candida overgrowth, or this yeast that's growing inside of the body that's feeding off this dead material. And what are you? If you got fungus living inside of you, you're dying. Your body's slowly dying. It's not living. It's not being its full potential. And that all comes back to, being local. If you're allowing these corporations to control your food and what you eat and what's in your food, then you have no control at all.
Yeah.
And it's getting back to the local grow-ops. It's getting back to the farmers markets. It's getting back to living off the land, being fully sustainable for yourself. And that's one of the big solutions that's out there.
And it needs to come back to the community.
Yes.
It comes back to your community. We're here, we're talking about informing the nation through InformNation, and we're informing the world since we are worldwide broadcast. But what it's about really is taking the small steps and going to your community.
Yeah.
Going to your community. Even, I had this idea is that, and I would love for someone to try this, I want to try it myself, is going to your neighbors, and even in your subdivision. Maybe you have 100 houses in your subdivision, maybe you have 10. But going to them and going door to door and be like, hey, I'm going to put on a little local grow-op. I'm going to start a little garden in my backyard, and I'm going to grow tomatoes. How would you like it if I gave you the seeds and everything, the non-GMO, non-Monsanto seeds that reproduce themselves, because Monsanto seeds don't reproduce, and that's the reason why farmers have to go back to the company every year and pay for more seeds.
Food control.
Food control. And you can grow potatoes. And then I go to the next door neighbor and say you could grow carrots. And at the end of the season, once we've kind of, we've sowed everything, and now we're going to reap the benefits of our food, is that we could all join together and trade our crops.
Yes.
Like
local bartering.
Yeah, local bartering. Like I have my carrots, and this guy's got the tomatoes, and he's got the potatoes, and he's got the cucumbers, and we could all trade those off to each other in our own community. And then what we could also do is, if we have extras, we could start our own little farmers market.
Yes.
Our community now, the 10 houses, the 20 houses, the 100 houses, can now make a little bit of money to help our 10 or our 100 houses, our little subdivision. And then we can make better things for our subdivision. Or, we could just go back to the fundamentals of living off the land that we're in.
Being self-sustainable.
Yeah.
That's almost like being off the grid. Like getting away from the big corporations that are controlling the food and taking control yourself over what's going on in your local community.
I think the government would call us terrorists for wanting to grow our own.
Yes, that's domestic terrorism. Thought criminals.
I mean, I want to create my own food. No, you're a terrorist. You don't grow your own food. Only the government grows food for you, boy.
You come to us.
And that's ridiculous. I can't grow my own food anymore. I can't store my own water. I can't make stockpiles of seeds. Why not?
What is that? What is that control? Slavery.
Yeah. Tell me I can and can't do things. Tell me that I need a permit to build something on my house. Well, guess what? It's supposedly my house, right? my property.
Why do I have to go to the village in order to put up a shed in my yard?
That's ridiculous.
I thought it was my property. I pay these taxes. This is mine, right?
You know what? I'm going to tell everyone out there, next time you want to build a shed, don't ask for permission. It's your property.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying get in trouble or anything, but it's true. Don't do it. Go to there and be like, you know what? I'm building a shed and I'm not going to give you a dime's worth of money. Why? Because it's my property, it's my house, and it's my rules on my property.
We need to start culture jamming the system.
Yeah.
And just fully pulling out of it and saying, we're not going to go along with this anymore. And that's civil disobedience.
You know, what you can do is you could get a form and go around your neighborhood and get, like, you know, like I was saying, the subdivision again, saying, hey, can you guys all sign this? We don't want to have to get permits for our subdivision anymore to put up certain things. And go around to the neighborhood and ask, you know, each household to sign their name on it and sign away that, hey, we all agree with this, that we don't want to pay these permit prices anymore, these permit fees.
Taxes.
It's ridiculous. Like over at, in my store over in Bloomingdale, GNC, we have to pay to get a permit to put up a for sale sign. Like if we're having a big sale, we have to put up get a permit to put up a little sign in the street that says that we're having a sale.
Well, those little small signs you see on the side of the road, one of those ones?
We have to get a permit.
But all over the road, all you do is you see these political candidate signs, and they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're just, it looks horrible at intersections when the whole intersection is just full of political signs. But you don't see them getting anything.
Yep, they fined our store a couple $1,000s when the political candidates don't get fined anything for their signs. Nothing.
And you know why? It's because the town's getting kickbacks and little snippets and little treats from these candidates that says, hey, you put our signs up, you know, we'll help you out. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. Look at the corruption already right there.
It's ridiculous. You know, actually, I have a little conspiracy myself on Bloomingdale.
Oh.
Is that it's secretly controlled by the Italian mafia.
I think that as well.
You know, I got a lot of, Todd's laughing over here. But seriously, like, I live in a subdivision, it's Indian Lakes Country Club subdivision, and actually, there's a few of the guys that live in my subdivision, and actually, one's the mayor, one's the board trustee, and one's the treasurer. Yeah, the weird thing is, they're all Italian.
I've always kind of wondered that. Why all these guys, why every mayor of Bloomingdale has
always been
Italian.
I mean, like, I get it might be a big Italian community and everything. I got nothing against Italians. I'm Italian myself. I have Italian. David's over here.
Too,
he's Italian. We hang out with Italians too, and I get it that we're very prevalent around our area, but it's always the Italians that are kind of running everything.
It's that inner cabal of movers and shakers that are really directing things.
And, you know, I'm not saying that the mafia is like they used to be and they're committing crimes, because they've kind of paid their penalties for killing people and hush-hushing everything around them.
They're not out there in the open anymore. They're behind closed doors.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we can make more money doing the political side of things. You know, the corruption side of politics, making our way in that market and getting away from either the drug dealing or the arms running or anything like that. And that's where I think a lot of the mafia organizations have moved to these days, is actually in politics.
Yeah.
Because politics is the new mafia. It's the new corruption. Everyone's got to get their fee, man.
That's big.
And I mean, you know, I always make the joke of if I'm at the store or if I'm buying anything, and they always talk about tax, I'm like, you know, Uncle Sam's got to take his cut.
You know, if you don't pay for the protection money to the boss over here, he's going to send his little goons after you.
Exactly.
But how can we change that? What's a big solution for that?
We need to go to the community.
Yes.
We need to go to town hall meetings. We need to go to these, you know, these community meetings that everyone's getting together and talking about what they're doing in our communities.
Because you see through the media, they're always talking about the big top. If you think about the whole world as like a summit and a big mountaintop, all they're keeping you is keeping your gaze up at that mountain, that summit, so you never see what's in front of you. And then everybody comes and says, hey, what am I going to do about it? How can I do anything? I'm just one little person. You can. Look down at your feet. Take that first step. Fight local. You need to get involved in local politics in your city, in your town. Go to those meetings. Start asking questions at those meetings. Start calling those people out on things that you know is wrong in the community. Make your voice be heard because they work for you. That is what a Republican form of government is here in this country. It was supposed to be. It's not a democracy.
It's supposed to be a republic.
It's a republic. And you, yourself, have control over what goes on. Yeah, these people you elect, they're your representatives.
They're not there for them. They're there for us.
Yes.
Make them there for us.
Make them come back and make them listen to you. Get in their face. Get to those town hall meetings. Voice your opinions, because that's when it's going to count.
And if they're not voting or they're not voicing your opinion, tell them you're not going to vote again.
Yeah.
Get a little what are the, I can't think of what those are called.
Like a petition?
A petition. Get a petition. Say we're not going to vote for you again if you do this.
These people they're scared to lose their jobs over you. Because they want to keep you happy, keep you docile, keep your entertainment up, keep you entertained to death. So you never fully realize what's going on in front of your face.
Because a lot of these representatives and everything, for any state or any county or anything, they rely on us as much as we rely on them.
Yep.
And if we're not going to vote for them, they're going to start doing things because they know if they're going into, the congressional hall or whatever and saying, okay, well, we need this and this and this to happen, or my city or my state isn't going to vote for me again.
Yeah.
And then this guy is like, oh, well, we're going to do this anyways. And at least that person that you said you won't vote for again will say, no, we need to do this because my people back in my state say I need to do this or I'm not going to get voted in again.
That's big.
And so they're going to push harder for us on our individual level. They're going to push for our towns. They're going to push for our states. And that's all going to come come to surface after years and years of us actually getting back involved with what's going on around us.
That's big.
And I know it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
I know it's not going to happen next week,
be a slow
next
process.
month. It's going to be slow, but we just need to stick in there and hold off and actually keep on pushing these representatives of us to actually represent us.
Go to those city councils and ask and get those public records. That's why the Public Records Acts are big. We need to start utilizing those.
Yeah.
FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act. You need to go and get public records requests and figure out what's really going on. You need to take what you're finding in these public records requests and these FOIA requests and you need to start addressing them. Get a YouTube channel. Get a Facebook. Start putting it out there. Put that information out there. Get to the local town hall. Get to the local county board. And you need to start bringing it in their face and letting them know that you know. And you're going to start letting other people know what they're doing and you want this corruption to stop.
Even if you can't go to, I understand a lot of people are like, well, I can't go to the newspapers and everything, but I still believe you can somewhat go to the newspapers if your story's bigger enough and enough people are behind it. Because a lot of these things that are happening, send it to the newspaper. There's somebody there that will read it, and if they don't answer it right away, keep on sending it.
Yes.
Blow them up. Make it in their face. Almost advertise your cause. Advertise your cause to your representatives. Advertise your cause to your local newspaper, your local town paper. Go to your news media that broadcasts to your city and tell them, I want this on the air, because a lot of us sitting down in Bloomingdale are getting pissed off that we're not allowed to put flags up for our business, and that's killing small business in our town.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. We need to go figure out what's in our water supply, because I'm seeing that there's a lot of tests out there and a lot of studies that say people are getting dumbed down from sodium fluoride in the water.
And they're dumping it in there.
Why are we putting it in the water? There's a video on InformNation, if you want to check it out over this little break, about sodium fluoride being put in the water. But after this, we'll talk about some more ideas that we want to bring up and bring to the communities across the nation. So if you have any questions, give us a call at 630-445-1213. We'll be back after this. Back at you with InformNation. This is your host, Alex Gabriel, and
co-host David Sick.
Here we go. And I was getting a little riled up there talking about, voting with your dollars, talking about going to your community and asking for certain things, and I think that's what we need to do.
There's a lot of passion behind what we're doing here.
There is a lot of passion, and I wouldn't be on here if I didn't have passion for what I'm talking about. And I've seen a lot of the sides of things. I manage a small business, and I pretty much run the store as an owner would. But I do see a lot of the things that go on with small businesses in my local community. I do see what's going on with the water. I have looked up my water report, and I've looked at it in the local paper, and I've looked it up online of what's actually in the water, and I've done research on things like that. And these are some of the things that, as a citizen, I think that we should do. I mean, we are a citizen of the United States, and I think in order to keep our country as good as we have it, or we did have it, before it crumbles on us is we need to be more informed,
And we need to get back locally.
and we need to become more proactive.
Yes.
Because I think actually, what's that guy's name? I'm trying to think the guy that was I can't think of his name right now. But he was a guy that always tried to stand up for the small guy. He came up with the consumer relations department or something like that. He used to run for president. He was always ran for president every year. I'm trying to think of his name. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I have no
Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader. There we go. Ralph Nader. That's his name. Ralph Nader. His parents actually used to sit him down at breakfast every morning, and they used to say, "Hey, after school and everything today, we're going to talk about this. So we have a problem in town, maybe about the parking spaces or about the water or about a small business thing, anything, just a small little problem that we have in town." And when dinner came around, they used to have to come up with a solution at dinner time. Each family member has to come up with a solution at dinner time. And I think that's what we should get back to. Like, even in the family level, we should be telling, our kids, oh, hey, these are some problems we have in the world today. Even if it's nothing that you can fix right away, but still get your kids thinking about these things. Get your kids thinking about the problems and the solutions and how to fix it. And mainly focus on the solutions on how to fix it, because we do have a lot of things that require some tuning up these days, because a lot of them have fell out of line with actually what our Constitution says or what our country really stands for.
Speaking of the Constitution, my dad actually brought up a great thing to throw into the show. And what we're going to do is every single show, we're going to bring up one constitutional amendment to the Bill of Rights, and we're going to talk about it just for a quick little segment. Just throw it out there. And we're going to start with number one. Number one, the First Amendment. Here it goes. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. And that's big. And that's big at the local level also, because that gives you the power to change what's going on in your local life, to get in front of that city council, to get in front of that government board and tell them that I don't like it the way it is, and I want it changed, and we want it changed for the betterment of all community. And that's the only law that's given in the Constitution that gives people the power to fully change what's going on in their local communities.
Oh yeah, I mean, we need to protest. And actually the scary truth of it is that they're banning protests now.
I know.
I mean, look at Occupy Wall Street, Occupy LA, Occupy Oakland, Occupy Chicago, and they pretty much said, if you don't leave, we're going to arrest you, we're going to mace you, we're going to gas you, or whatever we're going to do.
They had guys out there in space suits, fully armored,
like juggernaut suits from Call of Duty.
Yeah, why these unarmed people are you out there in a full Spartan suit, ready to take on military combatants as the police?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we can't speak up anymore. And I think that a lot of these TV shows or a lot of these mass media things, that if these people do speak up, they're going to be shut up.
Oh yeah,
right away. I mean, we just had a clip on about JFK in the last hour, and look what happened to him. He started speaking up, he started saying a couple things, and guess what? Boom! He got shot.
Done.
He's done with. No, we're never going to know what he could have changed.
Martyred.
And then what happened after that? Lyndon B. Johnson came in, we had the whole false flag of the Gulf of Tonkin, which has become declassified, saying that the Koreans or the Vietnamese really didn't shoot on American ships, and that we kind of was just a little thing to get the American public behind us to go into war with them.
It's just like a whole 9/11 type deal.
It's like, was Johnson behind the assassination of JFK? I don't know. I don't think we'll ever really know what was behind that, and that's just a whole conspiracy talk that we could have on another episode talking just about JFK and the Kennedy family. But it's sad that saying that if people are speaking up, that they're going to get shot.
Yeah.
Just like Martin Luther King, boom, got shot. Abraham Lincoln spoke up, boom, got shot.
And what's that big thing that in 1984 that they keep saying over and over and over again to control the masses, to control the thought? Here's the thing. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. That's effed up.
That is effed up.
That's effed up that the people think about that. Think about that. Think about that and how the world is today. War is peace. We're always constantly at war. Ever since World War II, there's been constant war going on. We went from World War II to Korea to Vietnam to the whole like Kosovo, all that, and then into the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, and then we stopped that, and then we went from the first Gulf War into the whole like Kosovo, whatever, that whole Cold War type deal, and then now we're in the second Gulf War, and now we're just still there, and then freedom is slavery, just how they've restricted what everything is that. If you don't want more security out there, if you don't want gun control, you're against the freedom of everyone. But they're taking away the freedoms in saying that we need security. I don't need to be protected. I protect myself as an empowered individual. And I'm not going to give up my freedom in order to just have protection, because that's just going into slavery. And then ignorance is strength. Huge. That, look at the people today, that how they're just docile and just they don't care.
Just willing to give up the rights.
Yeah,
for safety.
I know, and they don't care about what's going on around them, and they think that that's somehow better is to be uninformed and to be dumb, to not know about the world around you, and that's your strength. Do you think you're a strong individual because of that? No.
Get out of here. You're a weak individual if you're ignorant.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't say that meanly, but at the same time, like, if you're being ignorant to what's going around you, that's weak.
Yeah.
That is weak.
Common sense isn't so common anymore.
And if you're not sticking up for what you truly believe, if you're in a conversation with someone and they're like, oh, well, I think this way, and it's against the way you think, say it.
Yes.
If you don't say it, you're weak. Because you need to voice your opinion. That's the main thing of why we're here. Stop caring about what everyone else is saying. Voice your own opinion. Do you think that's right? If not, say something about it.
Because silence is compliance.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Nazis.
Yeah, but the whole Nuremberg trial
Look at the Nuremberg trial. They just went along with it, but guess what? They were silent and they complied, and guess what happened? They got sentenced to death.
Just because you're following orders doesn't mean you're not guilty of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the military. I mean, the military is one of the biggest brainwashing organizations that there is.
Yeah. They
brainwash us into killing other countries' citizens that probably don't want to be in war, just like we don't. I mean, personally, like if I was being drafted for Vietnam or WW2, and I had the knowledge that I have right now, I'd tell them to F off.
Oh yeah.
I'd tell them, like, why do I need to go fight your corporate war? What are you trying to get oil? You're trying to get more terrain. What are you doing? Like, why are you telling me I need to go fight in this corporate war that you guys are doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be a part of that. I don't care if you tell me that's un-American. It's un-American that we're going to war for these stupid reasons. Like, oh, I want more oil.
For corporate interests.
And they're not going to tell you what their interests are while we're really at war, but they just consider you a number and a gun to go fire at some other citizen that's equally as innocent as you are. I mean, here we go. I mean, you want to talk about if the soldiers are really against another nation? We have the Christmas truce of 1914 between the Germans and the British. It was a Christmas truce, so what ended up happening was both sides of the war said that on Christmas Day, since they both celebrated it, that we were going to call a truce and there would be no gunfire and no war or whatever, battling during that time span.
And that was the individual soldier, the private, who said, you know what, on this Christmas Day, I'm done fighting today. We're already fighting hell in these trenches over here in World War I, and we're done. And it's Christmas Day, and we're going to celebrate. And what did they do?
They ended up, what ended up happening was some of the French, some of the German and some of the British soldiers were playing back in their trenches some Christmas tunes. And I know they're both in different languages and different types of songs, but they ended up kind of playing them back and forth in between the trenches, kind of playing their own homes, Christmas songs. And sooner or later, the Germans and the British came out of their trenches and joined each other in the middle in no man's land and actually played soccer.
Yeah.
And played tunes and talked and celebrated Christmas. I mean, if man really hated each other and we really hated these other countries, don't you think we wouldn't have went in these other people's trenches?
Yeah.
I mean, when I found that out, I was like, wow.
That's just so inspiring.
It's moving.
That shows that the individual is not going to be corrupted by what the powers that be and the corporate commanders are telling them to. They're going to do what they want, and they're going to fight for what they believe in, and it's Christmas, and we're going to forget about all of our strifes, and we're going to come together as humanity, as human beings, and celebrate Christmas together.
Not to mention, when they got back after that Christmas truce, they were reprimanded, and even some of them were shot and killed by their own commanders and own leaders. Because I was listening to this interview with Stefan Molyneux, and he was talking about the Christmas truce and everything, and why we do go to war and everything. The reason why we go to war, I believe, and I can't say it's for everybody, but it's because we have this imaginary gun pointed at the back of our head saying, if you don't go, we're going to kill you. And a long time ago, they did used to kill you. If you didn't get out of your own trench, your commander was responsible for taking a gun and shooting you, because either you're going to get out of this trench and you're going to go fight on that other side and go into no man's land and pretty much have a 99% chance of death.
What was the saying? Cowards and traitors will be shot.
Yeah, and so that's the whole gun behind the head, and it's just progressed ever since. We're not exactly killing people anymore for not getting out of the trench or not going to fight the war. But what we will do is we'll take your property from you, we'll take your family from you, we'll put you in jail, we'll take your earnings away, and we'll give you a disorderly discharge and discharge you out of the army.
We'll make you like almost a social outcast.
Yeah.
You'll be socially outcast from the rest of society, knowing that you came back with a dishonorable discharge. That, employers are going to look at that like, oh, this guy's got a dishonorable discharge. He's just a fool. We're not going to hire him.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that, on an individual level, that we have to abide by these certain stipulations, I'd say, that our own government sets up. And it's like, well, I don't agree with it, but everybody else does. But does everyone else even really agree with it, or they're just telling you that everyone else agrees with it just to get you to do it?
And that's what people don't know, is because they're not investigating for themselves. They're watching the boob tube in the corner of the room, and it's telling them everything they need to know.
On the boob tube, they always say, it's like, oh, sources say, or something like that.
Studies show that.
Or studies show, or they talk about these like, oh, sources say, or it's heard that, and it's not actually like a fact, because it's like, oh, it's heard, or a source says. It's not actually like, this is the fact. They're just giving you a couple words that make you think it's true, but it's really not true, just to make you go along with it a lot more. And going back to getting on your community level and changing things, is that you need to research what's going on in your community, right? I know we go off in these little bit of rants every now and then, but it's really about the change of your community.
Yeah, now that you are an empowered individual and you've realized yourself, what are you doing in your community to make the community better? Because a community is nothing but a bunch of individuals working toward a common goal.
That's what it's all about. I want to be an individual. I want to help my community. I want to help my brothers and sisters out there create the best life for them. And so maybe I need to take the stand and actually go to these certain places and say, hey, can I see these documents?
Yeah.
I want to talk to my representative. I want to talk to my congressman or woman.
And be individually empowered and make them responsible for what they're individually doing.
Exactly.
Because we can't be holding everybody to a collective guilt anymore. We need to start getting to individual problems and individual solutions, and not just like covering up the problem with a sweeping it under the rug type deal. We need to address situations. We need to come at them for a clean, logical point of view, and we need to fix them.
Just throw some newspaper over it.
Yeah, don't be like the Big Daddy reference where, oh, the milk spills on the ground, so I'm just going to cover some. I'm not going to clean it up and address the problems. Really, I'm just going to cover it up so I don't see it for right now.
With some corporate mass media paper.
Yeah. That's the only thing the newspaper is good for, is just throwing stuff in it.
Yeah, it's really good for burning. You can use it as a good, good kindler for your fire.
Fire starter.
Yeah, it's good fire starter, because all that's in there is just BS anyways.
Yeah.
Might as well be burnt. The the newspapers aren't really responsible anymore either. And actually, me and David were looking this up on the drive over here. Back in the 1980s, the Ronald Reagan administration started to deregulate the... They started to deregulate the news and media, the journalism. So they made the journalists and media, especially for the news side, not have to abide by all the stipulations that they used to have to go through. Actually, back in the 80s, they used to, every year, every news organization had to get pretty much like a recertification for if they were telling true facts. pretty much fact-checking these news stations to making sure they're keeping up with being responsible in reporting the real information to the public. And back in the 80s, Ronald Reagan, the great president that everyone thought he was, actually deregulated all these policies and actually kind of joined together the news and the entertainment side of news corporations, because before they had to be, as an entity, they had to be separate entities. And actually the news and entertainment side had to be separate from each other.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays we have newstainment. I mean, the news isn't even real anymore. They're not even telling you facts.
I know, they're just telling you fake stories just to file up your emotions, get you all agitated. And they'll hit you with a story that, oh, this person got killed and we need to do this about the gun control or blah, blah, blah. And then they'll hit you with a, oh, look what's going on in the food side over here and we're doing this today. It's just like, what is it? Is it news or is it entertainment? It's infotainment.
It definitely is infotainment. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm kind of happy that we have InformNation. The reason being, I mean, dude, we get to talk about the stuff that nobody else will talk about.
I know.
And like everyone's like,
Bring
oh,
it.
dude, are you going to talk about this and this and this? And they're like, yeah, of course I'm going to talk about it.
We're talking about everything.
Yeah.
This is a 360 forum.
Yeah.
For every type of idea.
Nothing's out of the realm of what me and David will talk about on here.
No, we're...
Any weird subject, any conspiracy, any
Yeah.
sort of underlining cause, we'll talk about it.
And we're going to address it. We're going to back it up with documented facts.
Yes, we will.
Because this isn't going to be a bunch of like speculation on the show. It's going to be proof and documented facts of real things that's going on. We're going to be playing video clips. We're going to be showing actual evidence on things that's going on in your local community. We're going to be going and getting those public records. We're going to be getting those FOIA requests. We're going to be reading them here live on the air, letting you know what's in your food, what's in your water, what's in the air, what's going on in your community that's bad. And we're going to address it and bring solutions to the table.
And if anyone wants to show the documents in their town, or if anyone wants to bring any sort of info to the world that's going on in their town, or maybe they want it to be public in their town and talk about it, bring it here.
Yeah.
Bring it to InformNation. We'll be gladly to put it on our Facebook page.
Yes, if you
we'll
like
be
us
gladly
on,
to talk about it.
if you like us on Facebook, put your information on there. Send us stuff. We will read it. Join us in the chat room. Call in.
That's what you got to do.
What's the direct line?
The direct line is 630-445-1213.
I like that NPR style voice you have there.
I know,
Ross.
I think I can get used to this. I think maybe I could reach more of the masses talking this way in a subtle tone. And actually, maybe we should talk a little bit about what the masses are.
The masses? That's just all of us.
Am I a mass, David?
You are part of the masses. You're not an individual
Oh,
compared to the
man.
collective.
I'm not an individual?
You're just a part of the group.
Oh.
A cog in the machine.
I feel so selfless. I mean, what's the word? I feel so helpless.
Yes.
I can't do anything.
You're just one person. What can you do?
You know, I feel like I could just sit at home, watch my TV, put on the radio, and turn on InformNation and get informed on what's going on around us.
Yeah, we're bringing live, real facts here.
And, you know, a couple of things that me and David were talking about, and me and David and I mean, I don't know if you guys know our age or not, but I'm 23, about to turn 24
Same
in
here,
the coming up month.
23 as well.
David just turned 23 as well.
We're some young bloods.
We're some young bloods that are kind of onto the truth of the world, and you know, I don't want to get any speculation, oh, these guys are just young guys, don't know what they're talking about. We've done a lot of research ourselves, and I'm not saying I'm far from knowing everything, and actually I'll never know everything.
Yeah.
And same with David over here, but we're just trying to bring our ideas to the table. And
we want to bring your ideas to the table.
And the big thing is we're part of the millennial group. And the millennials, I don't know, I mean, I'm talking about my own group of age, and it's not so pretty.
No.
I gotta say, millennials out there, if anyone's listening that's a millennial, it's not so pretty for us, because the reason is we're not paying attention to even the newspaper anymore. And the newspaper is kind of fabricated, but even that we're not paying attention to. We're not paying attention to alternative media. We're not paying attention to our politics. We're not paying attention to our communities. We're not paying attention to anything that's going on around us anymore. All we're doing is we're partying, and and we're going to the raves,
I
and we're
can't
going to the
stand
big
that.
shows, and we're being drugged up, and we're being dumbed down, and we're drinking the man's water, we're drinking the man's food, and we're doing the man's jobs.
Yep. How many of you out there, parents of a millennial generation, younger, probably 16 to 25?
Something like that.
Something like that, that millennial group. How many of you parents out there and your kids are going to these raves and these festivals, and they're coming back saying, oh, peace and love, they're like the new hippies? What are those people doing with all this peace and love that they're talking about there? Are they actually doing anything with it? Or are they just like going there doing all the drugs? Saying everybody's, oh, peace and love here. You guys are all on drugs.
That's why there's peace and love.
Because no one's got any stress. No one's worrying about the real world.
Rolling on some mollies or some ecstasy or
Yeah.
smoking some pot or doing
Whatever
whatever
doing.
the hell they're doing over there. And you know what? Those big shows, I think all they promote is sex.
Sex, debauchery.
I like to call it a big orgy.
Yeah.
It's like these raves are just like this big orgy. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to go to these ones in a blue moon.
Yeah, because I've been.
I'm not saying that.
I've been to a couple shows. They're kind of cool.
But everybody, a lot of these guys, it's almost like
it's their lifestyle.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
all they do is they work their part-time jobs. As us millennial generations, we work our part-time jobs. We're not doing anything, and they're just going to these raves, and they're just spending all their money on drugs
killing the
and
brain cells.
Exactly. But they're preaching this love and peace, but they're not coming back to the real world and focusing on how we're going to bring more peace and love to the world.
It's ridiculous, and I think these raves and everything really promote the dumbing down of society.
Yeah, and that's true.
I mean, you have kids in high school. I've heard a couple stories about kids in high school, like 16 years old, going to these raves because these raves allow, I believe some of them, like if you're 16 and up, you're allowed to go. And a lot of these kids are 16 years old being put around like 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds. There's a lot of drugs at these. And it's kind of ridiculous that this is happening. What do we got here? We got James on here. There's a lot of people out there that are working to make this world better. Not everyone is sitting on the rock. And that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very true that a lot of people are out there working for this. And it's about those people that are bringing the world closer together.
And those people, major changes in the lot of young people making a difference. Hey, James, here. He belongs to 20 international groups that are making major changes, and there are a lot of young people making a difference. Yeah, there are.
There are a lot of young people
and I
making
like
differences.
that's going on, but
I mean, we just need to be broader.
yeah.
I mean, I think James was on the last chat, and I think we're talking about, well, what if people don't wake up in time? And I know that you have to have the hope and the faith that people are going to wake up in time. But the fact of the matter is that technology and mass media and your cell phones and everything is becoming more and more prevalent in today's society and kind of grabbing people's attention a little bit more. And I think James is onto something. What if people don't wake up? And I don't like to talk down, about anything or anybody because I'm not them. I didn't experience their life.
Yeah.
Because if I was them, if I lived in their shoes and everything, I'd probably be doing the exact same things as they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is we got to grow up. And I know a lot of millennials like, hey, we got to grow up, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in an era where we feel like we're entitled to everything. And we're really
Entitlement
not.
age.
We're not really entitled to everything. And a lot of people out there think they are entitled. And I know even a lot of my friends and stuff think they're entitled to a lot of things as well, too. And it's not what it's about. You have to make your own. You have to do your own. You have to speak up.
You have to forge your own path.
So after this, we're talking about a little bit about entitlement. We're going to hit you for the collaboration homework of the week as well, too, seeing what we're going to do this week. But we'll be right back after this. InformNation, here we are, 50 minutes past the hour, worldwide. And me and David were talking a little bit about the millennials and our generation and everything. And actually, we had a little bit of some controversy on topics here in our chat room here. We had James talking about not everyone sitting on their bottoms. We got Mayor saying, I'm not trying to beat you up. This is just not helping either. I mean, what do you guys think that we're talking about that's bad? Or what do you guys think we're talking about that's good? And what I want to know is the public's opinion on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's not only me and David here standing on a soapbox trying to talk, but I'm just taking it from my perspective because that's the only perspective that I do have. And I am a lot around the young generation, and and I could say that a lot of the people that I am around aren't doing much. And there's few of us that are, but I'd say in my own reality is that there are far too few that are doing something that's going to make this change happen faster. And I think that we need to bring a broader audience to ideas like this in order to kind of help speed things up a little bit. Because the other side's working against us.
Yeah.
Is what's happening right now. The other side's working against us, and we need to work even harder
Together.
So, like, what ended up happening is you don't use it, you lose it. And so we haven't used our rights for a very long time, and we're losing them. Actually, we've probably almost already lost them. And the fact of the matter is now we need to start bringing them back, and it's going to be even harder to get them back.
Because people want to be comfortable. They're accepted. They've accepted their slavery. And we need to break that notion that you are nothing and that you can't control anything or you can't change anything, and you can. And the one thing is using the Constitution of the United States of America for your advantage. So what's going to be the big topic for the homework assignment here? It's go and look at the Constitution of the United States and really focus on what's going on. Read the Constitution, read the Bill of Rights, because it's that thing that's really going to help you out.
And here we go. We're going to have our homework, collaboration, ideas, research of the week, and we're going to bring you a little segment here, which is our school hour.
School time!
Homework! Homework of the week. Let's see here. I think we're talking a little bit about constitutional rights and everything. And what we want to bring for our homework assignment this week is I think everyone should go online or go to the library, go to the bookstore, and pick up a copy of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Because that's the supreme law of the land.
Look over what our rights are. Look over what we can do that still fits within our Constitution, because that is what sets us apart. That's what gives us our freedoms right there. And we all have freedoms as being a human being that sometimes these days they're taken away from us that we're not so apparent of. I mean, is it apparent that if I go out in the streets and I start protesting and I start taking pictures and videos of public buildings, are they going to try to harass me? I think they might, but
it's because those police officers and officials are ignorant of the law. I'm not saying ignorant as in stupid, is ignorant as in not knowing.
And I think that we all need to go out there, we all need to start practicing our rights. So this week, let's take a look at the Constitution, let's take a look at the Bill of Rights, and let's read them so we know them. Let's get back to freaking grade school where we learned this, but we forgot them all. And let's learn what it's right to have this freedoms of this country, this great United States, is that we have these inherent freedoms brought to us by the Constitution. The reason why this country was founded, and actually use those for our empowerment and hold them against the people who are in power and saying, this is what our country's founded upon. These are the rules that it's founded upon. If you're not going to let me live by these rules, then there's something that's going to happen, and you in power are not going to like it.
Exactly. It's the Constitution, the only document ever penned by the hand of man that set man free. Man was never free until this country was founded. They were always under the sovereign of a king, over the dictatorship of a king or a ruler or a sultan, emir, anything that restricted their thought, their movement, even the way they came about in society. And when the Constitution in this country was founded, it set the individual free to make his own life, to determine the way he wants to live. And that's what made this country, the first 150 years, made this country explode. In 200 years, this has become the country of the world that everybody wanted to come to because people were free here. But now, look what's happening. We're losing our freedoms. Prosperity is leaving. Once freedom leaves, prosperity leaves.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see it in the world around you. You know, people, because we're less free, people are less intelligent, man. People don't understand.
And you know, this week, let's go out there. Let's go get those Public of Information Acts. Let's go get those freedom of information. Let's go out there and get those public records and bring them to the public. Because the public doesn't have these records. Because nobody cares to look for them. And so what we need to do, you and I, and anybody listening, is that we need to go out there and we need to get these records.
Yes.
And we need to go show them to everybody. Why? Because that's our constitutional freedom, is to know what's going on around us.
Because we're losing the constitutional war. We're losing the info war that's really dividing the country against itself. And it's coming down to the wire right now. And since it's coming down to the wire, I think I got a little song for that. A little fun time.
Fun time. Help with those Monday blues.
It's coming down to the wire. What are you going to do about it? Here we go. Final countdown. Yeah. Countdown.
There we go.
It's the final countdown, everyone. It's coming down to the wire. You need to get out there and you need to take charge of things yourself. I mean, use your constitutional rights to the fullest, because if you don't use them, you lose them.
And that's so true. Just like anything, you're not losing them, you're gonna lose them.
Yep.
And so we need to get out there, we need to practice our rights. And, I don't know what happened along the way, but we stopped doing that. And I think what happened is we became too comfortable with things kind of going our way and technology getting too good, that it made us lazy. Lazy not to look at the news. Lazy not to actually do the research. Lazy not to question the people who are in power telling us what the news is. And I think that's what happened along the way. And I think that these days, I think that we need a change. And I think that we need to bring back power to the public.
Yeah, because what's that quote by Victor Hugo? Adversity makes men. Prosperity makes monsters.
And so we need to get back to those fundamentals
Of the individual.
Our free rights. Because if we keep on going down this road, safety and fear is just going to rule us. We're going to be pushed into our houses,
Yep.
pushed in front of the boob tube, and brought to you a bunch of brainwashing that's going to make you not want to do anything about it.
Yeah, what did Benjamin
But what
Franklin
we
say?
need to do is we need to get out there. We need to change things.
Yeah, we do.
We definitely need to get out there, and we definitely need to change things.
You need to get out there and change things. You out there, because it's you that has the power.
And me and David are going to go out there this week. We're going to change things too.
We're going to go get some public records requests. We're going to go get some Freedom of Information Act requests, FOIA requests. And
We'll bring them to you on the next episode.
we're going to bring them to you.
How
on the
about
next
that?
episode. That's big.
Me and David will go out on our part for next week's episode, and we'll bring you some Freedom of Information Acts. And if you're out there and you want to bring anything to the table, go out there to your community and you grab that paperwork too.
Mm-hmm.
Because on me and David's part, we're going to do it. But we need, a community and a tribe behind us as well. Somebody that's going to go out there in their own terrain and support the cause of freedom.
Because everybody needs to come together on this, because we can't be divided anymore. Everybody is losing their rights. Everybody's losing their freedom. And this is a group effort here, and let's make it a group effort.
So next week, we're going to be bringing you a very interesting episode. We're going to have some very, very interesting documentation. But what we're going to do is next week have a lot of interesting topics. We want you to call in next week as well, too. But until next time, InformNation will be hearing from you. There we go. Arnold Schwarzenegger sending this out. Have a good day, y'all, and enjoy your Mondays, and let's have a fresh new start to your week.
Monday Fun Day.
Haters gonna hate.
You know?
Honestly, if somebody's hating you, you're probably doing a good thing.
What's the saying? You know you're over the target when you start getting the flack.
There we go.